How's it going, guys? This is the Under the Hood podcast, and we just had a completely successful speed weeks with no rain whatsoever. The last 2 years in a row, the Daytona 500 has been rained out until the night, and we had night finishes. Of course, last year, Michael McDowell winning at like 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. Great stuff, but this year, everything went to plan. The truck race, it was great. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about some of the strategy that happened. And, the Xfinity race was even better. Really good Xfinity race. A lot of strategy that happened. And no rain. We'll talk about that later. But first, we'll talk about Daytona 500. And no rain for that either. Only one red flag, and it was 5 minutes and 32 seconds, I believe it was. Really, really good speed weeks we had. We have a lot of things to talk about. Austin Cindric getting his first win. Chase Briscoe getting his best ever career finish. Bubba Wallace coming half a car length short from winning back-to-back speedway races. Obviously, Bubba Wallace, the last speedway race we had, he won in Talladega. And just last year at the Coke 400, Bubba Wallace got second place. So now this is back-to-back finishes of Bubba getting second at Daytona. And then the year before, he got second. So this is 3 straight times that Bubba Wallace has got second place at Daytona. He's come so close every single time. And then we had the tire issues. We saw Casgrala for the money team. His tire came off. And another one, who was it? Justin Haley, I believe, for a colleague. His tire came off. And then we saw Brad Keselowski talking about it. He was like, this is the issue that we have with the wheels. This is why we made the wheel modification, which, if you guys aren't aware, they effectively drilled into the wheels so the tires would stay on. It was a safety thing. Many people were like, oh, both RFK cars won their, they both won their duel. It's like, oh, are they cheating? Are they cheating? And then, funny enough, Bubba Wallace made a funny tweet. He said, hey, don't them Fords have those illegal wheels, about an hour after the race? Because there was a chance that if Ford did have those illegal wheels, Bubba Wallace then is in first place. If Austin Cindric, if all the Fords were to, get penalized, Bubba would have won. Kyle Busch would have got second, and we'd have played that Bubba Wallace would be in the playoffs right now. But no, Austin Cindric is in the playoffs right now, which is great. It's the first time a rookie has ever won the Daytona 500, and like I said, I got a lot to talk about. My guy Jesse Iwuji, who we did an interview with a couple episodes ago, he had a good race with his first team. We had Zane Smith win in trucks. Zane Smith, of course, runner-up 2 years in a row. He was supposed to get the Cup ride. I think he deserves the Cup ride. It went to Todd Gilland instead, and Zane Smith is now still in trucks. Although Todd Gilland ran a pretty good race, unfortunately got caught up in a wreck. We'll talk a bit about Brad Keselowski as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the order of... We're going to go through the order of how they finished and such. And then from there, we will effectively talk about what happened with that specific driver. And then next podcast, probably Thursday, we'll talk about Auto Club. There will not be a truck race next week, just Xfinity and, of course, Cup. So let's go through it. So first place then, Austin Cindric wins Daytona 500. First rookie to ever win the Daytona 500. Trevor Bayne comes to mind, but he did not, he was a rookie, but he didn't qualify for rookie because he was only part-time. So Austin Cindric becomes the first rookie to ever win the Daytona 500. He beat Bubba Wallace by 0.03 of a second. The Fords, they were dominant all day. Austin Cindric, he was up there. He was up there all day as well. And this then leads Austin Cindric, of course, to the playoffs already, which is a good thing. He doesn't need to worry about not making the playoffs anymore. They can learn more at each track, especially for a rookie. I picked him to win a race this year. I picked him to win COTA, I think it was. I knew he was going to win a race. I mean, it's a good car, and of course anybody can win a Daytona, and then he was the one to win. at Daytona. So that's just what happened. It was on Roger Penske's birthday. Penske looked really good. Blaney ended up getting fourth. It was pretty much him and Blaney for the final, and then Blaney kind of got hit into the wall a little bit. More stuff with Brad Keselowski. And then that allowed Cindric to win the race by 0.03 of a second. So Cindric gets the win. Really good for him. Glad to see it. Then second place, Bubba Wallace. Okay. Really good to see this improvement for 23-11. Last year, Bubba had a good clash. But the issue with Bubba Wallace last year is he was pretty much always running in the 20s. Like 15 to 25 where he was running last year. It's the reason why he didn't get to the playoffs on points. I said in my season predictions this year, Kurt Busch was going to win a race. Bubba Wallace was going to make playoffs on points, but barely, like 14th, 15th, or 16th. Then I said the same for Keselowski. Probably in that area. This is good because that 23-11 car was running up front the whole race. The only time the 23-11 car was not running in the top 10 was during the pit strategies when they went extra fuel in the second stage so they could take a quicker pit stop heading to the third stage, which worked out. Kurt Busch wasn't really anywhere this race, but Bubba Wallace was. Bubba Wallace was always there. He led a bunch of laps in the third stage on the outside line, working with Kyle. He worked different lines. Unfortunately, he got caught up in Keselowski's crash, which lost him his front quarter panel, which then meant that he wouldn't be able to, he could still draft fine, but he couldn't be the lead car fine, which is why we probably didn't see him beat Cindric at the end there. But it's really good to see for him that, he's not going to run good at road courses. We know this. He's probably not going to run good at short tracks. But what he's going to do, he's going to run good at super speedways. And if he doesn't get enough, or if he doesn't get a win at a super speedway, he's going to run good at super speedways. He's going to get points there. He's going to get points in the 2-mile, the Michigans, the Auto Club. He could win Auto Club next week. He's going to run good at the bigger tracks. That's just how he is. And so he needs to get it on points, and so getting big points here, he's fourth place in standings now. That's really big for Bubba Wallace. I am a Bubba Wallace fan. He is my favorite driver. Say what you will. I love everything about it. I've got his Talladega shirt. Tried to get it autographed in Daytona, but it wasn't there during testing. But yeah, really good to see Bubba get second. He was the only Toyota that was anywhere. All the Joe Gibbs cars got wrecked out, besides Kyle Busch. Him and Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch were the only ones that were Toyotas that were effectively doing anything this race. And then Kurt Busch wasn't anywhere. It was basically Bubba and Kyle Busch working the third stage. Bubba got the better of it. He gets second place. Third place then, Chase Briscoe. I love to see this here. Stewart-Haas Racing. Terrible year last year. Kevin Harvick did really, really good. But the car just wasn't there last year. Cole Custer, second-year guy, did nothing all year. Briscoe, rookie, did nothing all year except crash Denny Hamlin. And then Almirola, he got a win, but he wasn't really anywhere. Stewart-Haas looked much better today. Harvick had a race to forget. It's not like he was involved in any crashes or anything. He just wasn't competitive today. And then Almirola was competitive at times. He was up in the front a little bit, gets involved and wrecks. Cole Custer, same situation, wasn't really anywhere. Chase Briscoe had an eventful day. I will tell you that. Chase Briscoe had one eventful day. He started in the back. So not only did Chase Briscoe start in the back because he failed inspection, he made his way up. Then he had to go to the back again because he was involved in a wreck. But then he makes his way all the way back up. Chase Briscoe could have won this race, gets caught up in a little bit of an entanglement there on that last lap, but has enough speed to get past Blaney. So Chase Briscoe, and for him to get third here, it's a really good sign for that Mahindra Tractors 14. It's a good sign for Stewart-Haas Racing. The Fords are really good all day. But this guy, he probably had the most positions gained all race. Because I said he started from the back, made his way up, and then went to the back again. He had a speeding penalty. He missed his pit stall. Chase Briscoe did everything, and he still finished third to get his best career finish. I give the guy a lot of credit. Chase Briscoe had an amazing start to his year. Then in fourth, let's go through it. Blaney, we'll just talk about it for a minute because we already kind of talked about the Penske cars. But Blaney getting fourth, it was either him or Cindric. Blaney said it himself. He said he didn't want to make a move that was going to have both of them lose the race. So he made the move to at least where one of them was going to win the race. And that unfortunately had him caught up a little bit, and he let Briscoe go by and let Bubba go by. And so yeah, Blaney, fourth, good for him. Like to see he got a good start to the year. He ran good at Daytona last year, of course. He had 3 wins last year. Atlanta, I think it was, and then Michigan, Daytona. I'm not sure about the first one. It could be wrong, but I know he won Michigan, Daytona. And so, good start for Blaney, of course, the second best Penske driver. Then fifth, Eric Almirola. So, once again, another Stewart-Haas car. Stewart-Haas finished third and fifth in this race, but they weren't there. Stewart-Haas, they did not have the speed to be there third and fifth. Almirola made his way through the pack. Didn't get much television coverage. Speaking of television coverage, terrible. 13 commercial breaks before the third stage? What is this? Luckily, they didn't have many commercials in the third stage. Also, they missed so many different crash angles. It's like they missed the live action of Harrison Burton's car upside down. How do you do that? Anyways, Eric Almirola not getting a whole lot of TV coverage, but he secretly made his way to fifth place. And then sixth place, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch ran fairly well. Kyle Busch doesn't run well at speedways. It's not something that he does. But he did run well. He worked with Bubba Wallace a lot today. Worked with Truex, but Joe Gibbs was just caught up in a bunch of different crashes. Hamlin's car couldn't even go straight after he got wrecked. And so Kyle Busch getting sixth here. The standings are a bit skewed at Daytona, as they always are. Because when you look at the people that didn't finish, like you look and, Bowman, Byron, Hamlin, Logano, Truex, those are all guys that were probably going to finish ahead of, say, Almirola or Chase Briscoe. So when you look at the final results, it's a bit skewed, but that's just how it is at Daytona. Based on this race does not mean Bubba Wallace or Almirola or Briscoe are going to run second, third, fifth, respectively, because they're probably not. It's just how this is. And Kyle Busch, he probably wasn't going to finish sixth if none of those other guys crashed out, but that's just how it is. It's a good result for him. He's a guy you don't have to worry about missing the playoffs, of course. But it's good to see him get this start. I picked Kyle Busch to win the championship this year in my predictions. I changed it from Blaney to Kyle Busch, and, he ran well here. Then seventh, Michael McDowell, once again, Ford, and he found his way to get up there. I want to talk about Ford because we're probably not going to talk, or front row, because probably not talking about it much with Gilland, but front row had a very good Daytona 500. Todd Gilland, pretty much after the first stage, Todd Gilland ran a very good race. He, of course, was a guy that never ran Xfinity. He only had truck experience at Front Row Motorsports, which now Zane Smith is at, and he ran a really good Daytona 500. When you look at the rookies, all the rookies ran really well. Harrison Burton was running good until Keselowski got a bit over-aggressive. Cindric, of course, won the race, as we talked about earlier. And Todd Gilland, he also ran really well. Todd Gilland was in the top 10 after the first stage. He was in the top 8. He got stage points in his first career race. And for a guy that a lot of people, including myself, probably were like, is this even an improvement over Alfredo? When you look at how he finished, Alfredo was never running in the top 10 ever in the Daytona 500. He was never running there in the 400 later in the year. And Todd Gilland ran in the top 10 for a good 80 laps until towards the end of the race, he was involved in a wreck with a bunch of other people, including Kyle Larson. And it was just really unfortunate because he was going to get a top 10, but Michael McDowell for front row ends up getting 7th. So really, really good race for Front Row Motorsports. Then David Reagan getting 8th. It's a Rick Ware car. David Reagan, the reason he got 8th, and they pointed it out a lot on the broadcast, is that David Reagan effectively missed every single crash. That's how he got there. No other reason. He's running a few races this year. Actually, that might have been his only race. I'm not sure. But David Reagan, 8th place. How about that? Brad Keselowski. Let's talk about Brad Keselowski here. He finishes 9th. It's a good finishing position, but the consequences maybe won't line up. Keselowski, who won the the duels, he got a bit over-criticized by everybody today. He was pushing Harrison Burton. Harrison Burton was getting a bit loose, and then 2 laps later, Keselowski pushes Harrison Burton, which then causes Burton's car to fly upside down and take out a handful of contenders. Then, later on in the race, he takes out Todd Gilland and Kyle Larson. A lot of these good drivers, almost the same exact wreck. I mean, he took out 2 different rookies today. And, a lot of people, he took out Ricky Stenhouse. That was the main culprit of it. And so it wasn't a great race for Brad Keselowski, but in the end, it's P9 for his new team. Not bad. Chase Elliott, 10th place. Funny enough, Chase Elliott, best Chevy today. And I'll tell you why he was the best Chevy today, because every other one got wrecked out. Bowman, Byron, wrecked out. Larson, wrecked. Ricky Stenhouse for JTD Doherty, wrecked. It was just not good to be a Chevy driver today. And I'm missing a couple, like, Hemrick and Ty Dillon and Eric Jones. Eric Jones got wrecked out. Every Chevy got wrecked today by Ford. That's why Ford's up there. Every Ford wrecked every Toyota and Chevy out of this race. So Chase Elliott got 10th. I'll just go through the next couple real quick. That'd be Ty Dillon and Hemrick, 10th and 11. Ty Dillon only 1 spot away from getting a top 10 in his first race back in Cup Series. Got to meet the guy and during testing in Daytona. Really cool guy, wishing him the best. Petty GMS ran fairly well today. Eric Jones, he was up there today. Unfortunately, though, got wrecked out. Ty Dillon ended up getting 11th because of it. And Hemrick, he went a lap down. Like, he was last place. With 15 laps into the race, he was a lap down. Finishes 12th. That's why you never quit. So Hemrick getting 12th. Good to see for that second colleague car who, ends up being the best colleague car here today. 13th, Martin Truex Jr., the only Joe Gibbs car that survived. That's all I have to say about it. Truex won the first 2 stages. Good to see him get some stage points. That's what Truex does. He wins stages. 14th, Corey LaJoie for Spire. And then 15th, Landon Castle for Spire. That's good finishes for Spire, to be honest. Corey LaJoie, he ran well here in the summer last year at the race that I was at. He was in that Fire number 7 car and ends up finishing 14th here. So not bad. And then Landon Castle, 15th. Of course, he ran the Xfinity race the day before and got caught up in a wreck. Kind of gets caught up in a wreck, but doesn't here. Ends up getting 15th. So good weekend for Spire Motorsports. 16th is Busher for RFK. He got caught up in a wreck. That's why he was there. We're kind of just going to go through the rest of the Daytona 500 order, not just talk a little bit about it, because I wanted to talk about the main finishers a little bit more. But Busher, he looked good all weekend. Unfortunately, got caught up in a wreck. Cody Ware for Rick Ware Racing got 17th, so really good. 8th and 17th for the biggest small team in NASCAR. Great weekend for Rick Ware Racing, a team that gets a lot of hate, especially for, they have the stigma of causing crashes. But here, they didn't cause any crashes here. They ran well, they avoided them, and they get 2 top 20s, including a top 10. Really good to see there for Rick Ware. And, of course, his son, Cody Ware, getting 17th. Daniel Suarez in the Tootsie Roll car in 18th for Trackhouse. Trackhouse was on to have a good weekend. Ross Chastain got crashed out. Looked like both cars were going to finish in the top 20. But here today, it's only Suarez, who didn't exactly impress. He had a good qualifying, but then after that was about it. But still solid, top 20. Then Kurt Busch got 19th. Bit of a disappointment, but I mean, this is how super speedways are. I think Kurt Busch is going to win a race on the 1.5 miles. That's where I think it comes from. And so him getting 19th is not exactly the greatest, especially considering Bubba Wallace got second. But these things happen. Busch was kind of involved in a wreck. He spent a lot of time avoiding wrecks, and Kurt Busch had an issue with the brakes. You don't need the brakes to Daytona, but he had to spend a lot of extra time on pit stops. So effectively every pit stop, he was going to it wherever last place was on the lead lap, which is usually somewhere between like 18 and 24 or something. I think there were like 23 cars on lead lap at the end of it. So, yeah, 19th there. Not the greatest. Cole Custer got 20th. He wasn't involved really in anything. He just didn't race as good as Briscoe and Almirola did. He is looked on as the weakest driver of the bunch. And, you hate to see it. He won a race at his rookie year. He is sponsored by Haas. But you look, and it's like Harvick is, of course, one of the best drivers. Almirola is really good. Briscoe's had a good race, and unfortunately, it's, people look at Cole Custer. When the news came out that Priest was signing as a reserve driver, everybody's like, oh, that's probably for Harvick. But then when Harvick retired, when Harvick said he wasn't retiring this year, it's probably like, well, I guess Priest is going to replace Cole Custer if he has a terrible year. And so a lot of expectation on Cole Custer, but then the news came out that Almirola was retiring, so Priest is probably going to take that spot. So Custer should be fine with that team. He just needs to put in better races, and getting 20th here, where he wasn't really involved in anything, and his two other teammates that also weren't involved in anything did better. Ken Harvick did the worst. But this wasn't great, but still top 20, yes. But he's got to make the playoffs on points, and getting 20th here is not going to help that. And then we head to the back half. So that was the front half finishers. Go to the back half finishers. The Ford of Joey Logano. He looked strong, and then he started in the back as well with Briscoe. He looked strong, made his way up, was there for the stages, and then got caught up in that huge first wreck, which took out a lot of drivers, as we mentioned. Then he couldn't get his car out of the grass. So 21st for him. Jacques Villeneuve, whatever you want to call him, Formula One champion. He was the guy I was rooting for. Him and Bubba Wallace all weekend, of course. And, things didn't look great. He got lapped on lap 16. Then he got a free pass eventually. Made his way up. He avoided, every single crash. People thought he crashed out Tyler Redick, but as we figured out, it was Tyler Redick who was getting loose and then hit Villeneuve, and then it looked like Villeneuve had crashed him out. But this is what happens when your car gets loose and then you hit the car behind you. It's going to look like the car behind you caused the incident. But Villeneuve, 22nd for Team Hesselberg. Larice Hesmans is going to race most races this year. But Jacques, 22nd here. That's what we like to see in a pretty slow car. He got 22nd. Justin Haley in 23rd was caught up in an accident, made his way through. Not much to talk about there. Started 25th, finished 23rd. Then we had Bowman, who started on the front row, but as we mentioned, the Chevys were nowhere today. Bowman finished in 24th. He got caught up in the accident as well, had some damage. Then 25th, Austin Dillon, who, I don't know, he just really wasn't that competitive today. Austin Dillon was always in the pack, always making something work, but I felt like, maybe he just wasn't aggressive enough to make the moves. It felt like he kind of was just chilling back. He was also a guy that didn't get a whole lot of TV coverage. But yeah, it just kind of felt like he was a bit passive, and he gets 25th because of it. Casarella got 26th for the money team. Really not that bad. beat out a few guys. Of course, he's there because he didn't get wrecked, but his tire did come off. And a lot of crew chiefs are getting suspended because of this. And that's the issue that, Keselowski was talking about. But for the money team, the 26th place there. B.J. McLeod for 27th. B.J. McLeod Racing, he gains 10 spots. He started 37th, got 27th. You don't have any complaints there. He ran his race. Ricky Stenhouse got 28th. You hate to see it for him because he started in the middle of the field at 19th. He was up there, but JTG, we saw Brad Doherty. He's always in the booth sometimes, and they talked to him in the third stage, and he's like, "Yeah, we got a good car." And Stenhouse had a good car. Stenhouse could have easily won this race, and he got Keselowski'd. So, and of course, the issue a lot of people have, sure, Keselowski caused 2 crashes. The issue with it is that Keselowski still finished 9th when all the guys that he wrecked out, specifically Harrison Burton, Ricky Stenhouse, they were out completely. And, Todd Gilland and Logano and Hamlin and Byron, all these people that were a part of those crashes, they had wrecked cars, but Keselowski was fine. That's the issue people have. Then 29th, Eric Jones, another guy involved in a wreck, raced pretty good for the Petty GMS team. 30th, Kevin Harvick. I won't talk about him much. He just wasn't there. He did not have a good Daytona 500. Got caught up in wrecks, and that's just what happened. Noah Gregson, 31st. Oh, yeah, I hate to say it. Noah Gregson, for Beard, he had a fantastic race, and you just hate to see when you look at the results at the end of the day, and it's 31st for Noah Gregson. That's a lie. Gregson, he started towards the back. He raced his way through the pack for, basically a rookie. And he looked really good. He made some friends out there. He got all the way up into the top 10 at times. And then gets unfortunately wrecked out. And I could not believe it. Because, this is a guy that's really trying to get a spot. He is the next one up for Hendrick Motorsport. It's just Hendrick doesn't have any open positions. And it's like, the guy is he's very good. And he can't catch a break. And it looked like he was going to get a top 10 here in the Daytona 500. And he got wrecked out. And it's just like, you have to feel for Noah Gregson. You really do. And 31st at the end of the day, like I said, you look at it and you're like, that's not a good finish. But if you know, Noah Gregson had a good Daytona 500. Just unfortunately finished 31st. Same, Kyle Larson got crashed out. I'm not going to talk about much about it. Todd Gilland, we already talked about a little bit. He finishes 33rd. He got crashed out. Had a good race for his first ever rookie race. Bell, 34th. Once again, the Joe Gibbs cars, they were there in the beginning. And Bell got caught up in that first crash. Tyler Redick, 35th. We talked about it already a little bit with the incident with him and Jock. Reddick's car was destroyed. Biffle got 36th. He was the slowest driver here today. He just passed the other 4 behind him because, Biffle was 60 laps down. And because the Hamlin, Byron, Burton, and Chastain were totaled in the first stage, Biffle just ran the rest of the race past those guys. That's why I got 36. Cool to see the 52-year-old Biff run the Daytona 500 though. And then the 4 that got wrecked out, they finished 37th Hamlin, 38th Byron, 39th Harrison Burton, and 40th Ross Chastain. So that right there, folks, was the Daytona 500. So my final thoughts. I'm just going to look at the power rankings real quick. I'm just going to go through kind of what NASCAR.com has. I'll let you know if I agree with it. This will be really quick, and then we'll get into Xfinity and Trucks just a little bit. So let's go through the ranks. 20th, Buescher. Yeah, that's about right. 19th, Almirola. Can't argue. 18th, Bell. 17th, Kurt Busch. I'd have to argue Busch is probably not even in the top 20 after this race. Bubba Wallace, 16th. That's about right. Austin Dillon 15th. I don't see how. Kozlowski 14th. Yeah. Cindric 13th, so he gained 4 spots. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Cindric probably should be higher, especially since he's in a Penske car. But this is the driver power rankings. Byron 12th. Yeah, I mean, you can't really look at how he did this race. Briscoe 11th. He gained some spots. Redick 10th. Redick didn't do too much this race, though, but he looked good in the Clash. Bowman 9th. Yeah, Harvick 8th. Yeah, Harvick's a really good driver, though. So Blaney 7th. He gained 2 spots. Yeah, Blaney's a good driver, man. Truex 6th. He stays there. Hamlin 5th. He stays there. Logano 4th. He moved up. Yeah, I mean, Logano won the Clash, and he got a fast car. Started from the back. I didn't say it's about the same. Kyle Busch in 9th or 3rd. Yeah, and Kyle Busch ran really well, and he doesn't run good in these races. He has 3 Auto Club wins in the Fast 7 races. I would not be surprised if Kyle Busch wins next week. Elliott 2nd and Larson 1st. Yep. Okay. Cool. So we'll just go through Xfinity and trucks real quick. So Xfinity, the top 7, 6 of them. 6 of the top 7 were Chevys. As we saw, it was Toyota and trucks, Chevy and Xfinity, and then Ford and Cup. So each manufacturer got their fair share. Austin Hill, he won the Beef It's What's for Dinner 300 at Daytona here on Saturday afternoon, evening-ish. He led 23 laps. He deserved to get the win. He was there all race. And RCR had a really fast car. And that allowed Austin Hill to get first place. AJ Allmendinger got 2nd. He comes runner-up yet again. Noah Gregson got 3rd. So Gregson had a good weekend overall. Even though he didn't do great in the finishing position in the Daytona 500, he was still there, and then he got 3rd here. For Junior Motorsports, and Hendricks, 3rd place. Riley Herbst, the only Ford to be up there, really. Herbst had he had a solid race. He didn't lead any laps, but he also didn't cause any trouble. Justin Allgaier, 5th. He always runs good. Sheldon Creed got 6th. Anthony Alfredo got 7th. Alfredo, now this is interesting. Alfredo was a few laps down, because his window thing fell out. The window netting, the glass part of it, it was so weird how that happened. So he was not on the lead lap until, 20 laps to go? And then he managed to pick his way from 30th all the way up to 7th. So really, really good race then for Alfredo, all things considered. Ryan C. got 8th. Josh Bilicki, he led 10 laps. He finishes 9th. Brandon Brown finishes 10th. That rounds out your top 10. Ty Gibbs, he led 3 laps but finishes outside the top 10 and 11th. Ryan Truex, he ran clean all day. He gets 12th. J.J. Yaley in 13th. Landon Castle, his debut race for Colleague. He was often in the top 5, working with his teammates Emmerich and Allmendinger. At the end of the day, though, it's 14th. Jeffrey Earnhardt, 15th. Josh Berry, with 1 lap led, finishes 16th. Brandon Jones finishes 17th. Ryan Vargas, not bad, finishes 18th here. Jeb Burton for Our Motorsports finishes 19th. So fairly decent finishing positions for Our Motorsports, with Alfredo finishing 7th, Burton finishing 19th. We'll talk about the other guy after. Bailey Curry finishes 20th. Kyle Sieg, 21st. Myatt Snyder. Wow. Car completely broke to pieces. Myatt Snyder's car was gone. The engine gone. The rear gone. The car shouldn't do that. I posted it on the Instagram. The cars shouldn't do that. He basically front flipped over his hood and then went head first into the fence. Right by Michael Jordan, actually. The cars just aren't supposed to do that. And it's very, very scary. He hurt his leg, but he said he'll be all right for Auto Club. It's just, you hate to see it. Alfredo, he had a big push. Of course, Alfredo did not mean to almost kill the guy. But that's just not good how the car should not do that. The car should not have flipped like face forward. The car should not have front flipped and then proceeded to kind of fly in the air effectively at probably like 120 miles an hour and then hits the fence. And then the whole car is gone. The engine was in the infield. It should not do that. That's just my little rant there. Jade Buford got 23rd. Tommy Joe Martins 24th. Matt Mills 25th. Joey Gase 26th. Jesse Awuji in his first race with the Awuji Motorsports. They qualified in with a few spots to spare, and they finish then in 27th. They gained 3 spots. Not too bad. Jesse avoided a wreck. Great to see it for him. Hemrick got 28th. He was involved in issues. Really don't remember. But he finishes 28th. I know there was an issue, and he had to go to the pits. Joe Graff Jr. finishes 29th. Sam Meyer, 30th. Josh Williams, 31st. He was caught in an accident. Weatherman caught in an accident, 32nd. Lee, accident, 33rd. Brett Moffitt, the other Our Motorsports guy, sort of the leader of the team. He finishes 34th. CJ McLaughlin, 35th. Drew Dollar, 36th. He wrecked 2 cars. He wrecked the ARCA car and he wrecked the Xfinity car. 36th for him. Jeremy Clements, 37th. And finally, Cesar Baccarella. Engine issue, 11 laps into the race. He finishes last. That's the Beef is What's for Dinner 300. And then let's just go over trucks. Zane Smith got the win for Ford. Really good to see. He's over there front row now. And Daytona 500 winner. Well, not Daytona 500 winner, but trucks Daytona winner. Really, really cool for the Next Era Energy 250 to go to Zane Smith. I picked Zane Smith to win the championship. They got things started on the right foot. Ben Rhodes got second. Of course, he was the champion last year. Ben Rhodes, good driver for Thorn Motorsports. He finishes second. And then Christian Eckes, his teammate, finishes third. And Ben Rhodes started 27th. Eckes started 14th. Zane Smith started 20th. That's your top 3. They all worked their way up pretty good. Tanner Gray got 4th. Parker Klingerman 5th. Jesse Little 6th. Ty Majeski, who started on pole, finishes 7th. Danny Bone 8th. Carson Osavar, who really wasn't there, but he missed everything, and that led him to get 9th. Matt DiBenedetto, he got 10th in his first race for Rackley War. Same situation, was pretty much running in the top 20 all day, but that's what happened there. 10th place. Spencer Boyd got 11th. Riley Herbst 12th. Austin Wayne Self 13th. Timmy Hill 14th. Good for him. Austin Hill 15th. Stuart Friesen 16th. Haley Deegan 17th. Really unfortunate for her. Was running in the top 10 and got caught up in an incident which led her to finish 17th. Thad Moffitt in the throwback car finishes 18th. Chris Wright 19th. Jason White 20th. Chandler Smith 21st. Tate Fogelman 22nd at 10th place. Advantage or gain there. Brian Duzant 23rd. John Hunter Nemechek 24th. Yeah, not great considering he started second. Lawless Allen 25th. Everybody else here was involved in a wreck, so it'd be Lawless Allen, Derek Krause, Crafton, Ankrum, Grant Enfinger, Colby Howard, Blaine Perkins, Corey Heim, Jack Wood, Johnny Sauter, Brett Holmes, and Dean Thompson, your final finishing position. Just a quick recap of the race here. A 17-car incident as the field approached the white flag. That's why there are so many people that finished where they did. But 22-year-old Zane Smith won the race under caution. Both of the races kind of ended under caution, both the Xfinity and the Truck Series, although Cup did not, which was good. 16-minute red flag. They had to clean everything up, and then they basically saw that the race wasn't over yet. It was a yellow flag right before the white flag, so they had to run it again. So Smith, he then lined up on the inside, Eckes on the outside, and Parker Klingerman was able to push Zane Smith, and then other things happened behind him, which led Zane Smith to win by 5 seconds. Like I said, Ben Rhodes got second, Eckes got third. Good for Thor Sport. Really. So that's this episode. We'll talk about Auto Club in the next episode. We'll kind of, preview everything you need to know. Go through the schedule a little bit. Talk about, who I think has the inside edge. Maybe a couple guys that perform well. And they did Daytona 500, but probably not this race. We'll talk about the track itself and maybe who it benefits. So you definitely do not want to miss that. We'll probably post that on Thursday. I'll see you guys then.